wasn't prostitution, no. I asked about it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, even though it was copied, we were just clarifying whether something was correspondence to the board or not. Public comment. We don't have any public here, so.
I'd be surprised.
No. Okay, consent agenda. Does anybody have anything to extract from the consent agenda? No.
There was just one place where some words were missing. I'm not sure what the...
Okay, is it in the minutes?
In the minutes.
Okay. Marshall, no.
Under upcoming meeting presentation.
We should pull it. We should talk about it.
You're exactly correct.
Okay, so we'll pull the minutes. Is there anything else that we're going to pull? Okay.
Move approval.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. And then the minutes, we need a correction. We're missing some words.
Yes.
Where is it?
Here.
It should say differentiate instead of differently.
Oh,
That's all the change should be.
okay.
All right.
Great. Very good.
Now, is there something else, Lisa?
If I remember the discussion correctly, I think there were two separate points. Like there might be more than just that missing. I think one of the points was about differentiation and the other was about any changes from prior years. I think it was Emily's point.
I don't know.
It was a long time ago.
It was a comprehensive review of the curriculum and how teachers are encouraged to differentiate from prior years. If you want to add something to that, that's certainly...
That's fine.
Move we approve as amended.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Steve. I don't see Tim. PTO? No? All right. We'll circle back. And Dr. Steller, you're up.
Well,
Yeah, I know. Goes fast.
Well, it was a pleasure welcoming our children back and our staff members back. The children, as I always say, they always seem to have big smiles, and the parents seem to have bigger smiles. So we got off to a good start. There was a lot of activity over this past week, and that had to do with the installation of the Sally Port, and that's our security set of doors, third set of doors. A picture's worth 1,000 words, so we'll give you in a few minutes' time what took probably 5 or 6 days to complete. Okay, James, we're ready to roll?
So this is a time lapse that was set up over the course of the week, so I've sped it up, so it takes about 6 minutes, so I'm not going to show you the full 6 minutes, but you'll see the flurry of activity. If you notice, there is a timestamp on the bottom, so you can see how quickly minutes are going by here. You can see the wall starting to go up. So the construction guys really got a kick out of this. I showed them.
We didn't want to pay them overtime, so we said speed it up.
Quickly.
He must be the foreman or something.
Yeah.
They were eating or hammering. I'm not sure what they did. We need these guys for the hoot.
That's a good
Yeah.
So-
You know how long it takes to put up those
So
decorations?
there's the end of the first day.
Where's the pizza?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we'll have that on the website. We thank James for setting that up in our tech team. But yeah, so that's a big transformation within the building. We've been waiting on it for a while, and it was the right timing over the spring break. But it's a change in the way we do things, and we're trying to translate this in a way that we have increased security for our children. At the same time, we want to keep the spirit of our school in welcoming parents and not making one parent feel like they're not welcome here. It's only 2 days. The parents have been very cooperative with this here. We did have a few questions about it and maybe a couple of concerns about it, but we're hoping with time that we'll all fall into the procedure and work together to maintain our community-wide school at the same time higher security. What we're doing, again, just a quick review, what this involves is a third set of doors. They're a special type of glass on the doors, and they look attractive, but it's a third set. And it creates what's called a Sally Port, or an area, security area. When parents come in, or visitors, they have to go to our communication portal, where we have a very pleasant secretary greeting them. And if they have a key to leave or something incidental, there's a little drawer that comes out and they can put it in. If they have business in the school, they just state their business. And everyone, we're following the procedures that are standard and prescribed by the state, also in asking them to leave their license. So this way we have a record of anyone in the building. And that's security for the adults in the building too, in case of any kind of situation. So we take responsibility for everyone. And when they leave, they pick up their license. And as I told one parent today who had some concerns about it, I said, look, I went to Bethany School. They know me there. I've been going there for years. And I said, hi, Dr. So-and-so, but I handed over my license the same way, and it's just a different way of doing business. And if there are any glitches, we'll figure it out along the way. And what will happen in the coming weeks, we'll have a software system that will do a screening. And what is the screening for? The screening is for the protection of our children. Sex offenders, there could be situations where a parent is not allowed to see a child. There's a whole list of things like that. But we're trying to work in a way with everyone's cooperation that it's hand in glove, and again, that we have a spirit of welcoming our parents within the school too. It's a different chapter, and we need everyone's cooperation in moving forward with it. So, and that's been, again, a project that's part of our building upgrade. It's been approved by the board, it's been approved by the town boards, and by our town committee. And it's a result, too, of security assessments within the building also. So again, we appreciate everyone's cooperation, and we thank our office staff for the way they're extending themselves, too, with this here. There are a number of things to report. So let me start with our wonderful principal, Gina Prisco. And I believe she's going to highlight two of our outstanding teachers who will model the fact that they took an idea, a kernel of an idea. Actually, it was, I hope I don't take your talk here, but go on, Gina, go ahead.
You better get in there before you finish.
I'll follow up afterwards with anything that's...
Well, welcome back. I hope everybody had a wonderful spring vacation. And one of my favorite things walking around, especially right after we get back from vacation, is watching the walls come alive. They start blank in the beginning of the year, and little by little, but now as we start nearing Arts Week, and the artwork just starts to fill, it is one of the best things. So if you get a chance and you are here heading down, take a different route every time you go, because there's something new on the walls all the time. So I encourage you to do that. I want to say thank you. Our PTO, the book fair, was again a wonderful success, and the book fair family night with our student council here also, again, giving back to the community, parents here with their children. It was a great evening. So I'm not going to take up too much time because I do want to talk about the Flame Challenge. So I'm going to let the teachers explain exactly what it was, but back in January, one of the teachers sent me a request, and then a second request that said, in case you didn't get my email the first time, we have this idea that was proposed to us by a parent, and we'd like permission to do that. So I sent them off to get a little information from our technology team, from Dr. Stavanger, our science coordinator, and everybody was all in agreement that this might be something great for our fifth graders. And I will let them share what was the result. So Ms. Guerra and Ms. Mulligan, come on up. Hello.
Hi.
We have Sherry Guerra and Lee Mulligan, our two fifth grade teachers.
So based on that recommendation from one of the parents of a student in my room, we as a fifth grade team looked into this challenge and got quickly very excited about it, and decided that we wanted to give it a try this year. The Flame Challenge is a challenge where scientists from around the world answer a question such as what is sleep in a way that an 11-year-old can understand. So we'll tell you a little bit about what the challenge is and where the idea came from. Alan Alda, actor, as we know, and a advocate, a science advocate, came up with the idea, actually, not the actual idea, but the idea came about when he was just 11 years old and he was fascinated with science. And one day he was looking at a flame and thinking, what is this? And really wanted to learn more about it. So he went to his teacher and he asked, what is a flame? And the teacher thought about it and said, it's oxidation. And that was it. So he talked about today when we watched him at an assembly, how he still remembers how dissatisfied he was with that answer and how he really left still not knowing what a flame was. So through the years, he has become an advocate for communication in science, and he believes strongly that scientists should communicate their ideas clearly and vividly in a way that the public can really understand. So he started pitching a suggestion to universities that science majors and graduate students should really be taught the skill of communication. So Stony Brook University in Long Island, New York liked this idea so much that they founded the Center for Communicating Science in 2009. And in 2012, Alan Alda wrote an editorial for the Science Journal. And he began his article with the anecdote from when he was a child, and he came up with the question, what is a flame? And that's really where his idea for the challenge came about. So he decided, why not pose a question for scientists that is about a complex idea and really have them explain it in a way that is clear and entertaining and engaging for 11-year-olds to understand. So the very first year, he posed the question, what is a flame, from his own experience. And then in the following years, he actually started allowing the students to submit questions and then vote on which question they'll use for the challenge. So they did what is time, what is color, and then this year, what is sleep.
So, as a 5th grade team, we all got together and we actually did this as a kickoff. We had all the kids come into the rotunda and we actually modeled for them what they were going to be doing. They got to watch a video and then they were able to do a questionnaire on their iPads and answer it. So each child had the opportunity to review up to 25 different proposals. Some of the entries were written, some were visual, such as videos or graphics. We had actually put all of the entries on Google Drive so that they could look at them at the same time that we were doing them in class. Each classroom had different ones that they did, and then as a team we coordinated to switch them all around. So they were given these entries. They had to answer 5 questions on each one. They had to say what they learned about sleep, if the question was actually answered, was it clear, did it make them want to learn more about sleep, and did they understand all the words? So the tech team worked with us to create a survey in Google Forms for the students, and they accessed it on their iPad. We had them all answer questions, and then we would rotate them around so that they could all see as many as possible. During the process, the students reflected on the ideas of sleep and continued to build on their own understanding as they learned more and more about each entry. Students also identified qualities of successful nonfiction writing as well as effective oral presentations. This was all done during our nonfiction unit, so they really had an opportunity to use what they were learning in viewing these as well. They really had some great ideas, and they started to tell us which ones they liked better and why. Some of the things that they noticed was the communicating wasn't as clear in some as in others. For example, in some there was humor in them and they said it was good, but in others the humor was too much and it took away from their learning. So we thought that was an interesting idea. And then they actually got to vote on which one they liked best as a class, and then today we got to see the finalists again as a big group.
So today there was a worldwide assembly, and we met in the rotunda as a 5th grade to view. You can see a picture of what it looked like up on the screen. There were 10 schools from mostly the United States, and then there was one school from India that were able to conference in with Alan Alda, and he discussed each of the entries with them. And again, talked about what they liked about the entries, what they didn't like about the entries, and it was just great to hear some of their comments, and a lot of their comments were comments that our students had made too, which was really interesting. There were scientists and students from 14 to 15 countries around the world. I was trying to catch all the information quickly while he was saying it. And there were over 20,000 students who voted. So it was really an exciting experience. And we've been promised next year that we will have a spot in the Worldwide Conference to participate.
So next year, as we get involved in it sooner, we can actually have our kids come up with questions that might end up being one of the questions that gets answered too. So it should be very exciting.
You know, I was amazed by the fact that we have our 11-year-old children critiquing the work of scientists around the world. And this is part of the vision of Beecher Road School. It's about creativity, innovation. Now, a seed of an idea came from a parent, from children, the Linscott family, in fact, the twins. They brought it into the school. A teacher took the idea, it was this big, and really dug deep, turned to her colleagues on the team, enlisted the support of other teachers and so on, and as Mrs. Briscoe said, science coordinator, our tech team is always there to support. The outside world came into the school went to the outside world. It's what we're trying to do, give our children an authentic audience out there where they could communicate with children no matter which country. And we're so proud of the fact, this is an amazing thing. In the short time that our children have been involved, they have been invited, and this is not an easy thing from what I understand, to be one of the 10 teams that will, a year in advance, giving that guarantee of being one of the 10 teams. So congratulations, wonderful work.
No, just a comment, just for the record. I had nothing to do with it. I'm a liberal arts major.
Thank you.
Girls have good genes.
Thank you.
And to make another connection, again, our technology is implemented the right way. It permeates the building. But it offers our students the ability to do things that they can't do without it as a tool. It's not an end in itself. It's a tool. And they show their own creativity with that kind of situation. We know the fact that last year, our web provider decided to go out of the web business for whatever reason. So we charged the tech team with doing some bidding. They came up with a really good vendor, and it meant rebuilding the website from scratch in July. But it's a vendor that our website has a lot of possibilities. So we asked James to come as a representative from the team and give an update, an executive summary of some of the movements with the website.
Are you using the screen?
Yes, I'm using the screen, I'm sorry.
Let me just.
Okay, we'll jump up again.
I got my rocking chair.
So it's been a year since I last saw everyone here, and last year I was explaining that, as Dr. Stella mentioned, that we are changing website hosts and we were building a brand new website and starting from scratch. And the analogy I've used with Dr. Stella and everyone else is, at that point we had purchased a piece of land, we were about to build a house. So at this point we built the house, we have the rooms built, we've unpacked most of the rooms. There's still some boxes left in some rooms that we don't want to go into yet, but we're getting there. So I'm going to do kind of a brief overview of where we've been, where we are now, and kind of the plan for the end of this year into next year. So, just for a real brief history, in the late 1990s was actually our first website, and this is what it looked like, and I actually talked to Mr. Wood before he retired to get some more information. But late 97, 1998, this is what our website looked like. More of you are probably more familiar with the website that looked like this, which we had from the late 2000s, probably 2007 or so on. Where we are now is a new website that's really student-focused. We spent a lot of time last year and this year looking at the website for longevity purposes and seeing how we can build this to kind of keep it going with us for a long time, so we're not constantly updating, constantly changing going through. One of the things you'll notice right when you visit our website, it's children focused. It's pictures of our students here. If you go to the website actually changes every time you see it. So this background picture, there's about a dozen pictures, and every time you come, it's a different background picture. The call-out boxes, those 4 boxes you see in the front, are also rotating. So every time you come, there's going to be 4 different boxes. There is a little scroll button so you can scroll through all of them, but those always change. So it gives a new feel to the website every time you come. One of the major things we worked on this year was communication. As you know, Dr. Stella sends out his parent updates frequently. What we tried to do is take the printed version that you get home in the student's backpack and make an electronic version available. So the website provider has a system called eNotify, which we've put in approximately 800 parent email addresses in, so mothers and fathers are both parents if we have them, into the system, and a eNotify message will go out to everyone. So what we've tried to do is mimic the styling of the parent update, so the print on the left to the email notification that comes on the right. This is a direct kind of request from parents last year saying, I don't want to keep on going to the website to find stuff. When you say go to the website to download or something, this now goes right to a parent's email box and they can get the information right there. The other thing we can do with the email notifications is we can get a general idea how many have been delivered and also what topics are popular. So we can tell by links and seeing how many links are visited to kind of see what's popular. Another feature that's really great is the subscription services with the calendar and news. The calendar, if you go on there, you can actually subscribe to the letter day calendar, the Board of Ed meeting calendar, band practices, the school calendar, and that can be linked right to your iPhone, your iPad, your Google Calendar, so you can get that all up to date. What I really love about the letter day calendar is when there's a snow day, I put in a snow day, it shifts all the letter days right over, so the letter day calendar on the website is always the most accurate letter day calendar. So you're not trying to keep the printed menu and kind of move things over and around. So anyone can subscribe to those calendars and add them to whatever device they choose. Along with the news, if you are interested in certain topics like the construction project, you can subscribe to different pieces of the news, and when a new news item gets posted, you'll get an email alert to your inbox again saying, here's a news item that you requested being updated on, it's been posted. So these are two features that are kind of bringing the news right to you. You don't have to constantly check the website to get the information. It's being sent directly to you. The other great thing, as I mentioned, is our student artwork's up there, our student pictures are up there. So you'll see, this is some of the artwork for our art page. As Gina mentioned, I went around through the hallways and took some pictures of different student art. The way we can embed media now is really great. So this is one of our China Connection pages. You'll see it's an actually moving timeline, so it starts at the very beginning when our first China Connection happened and went through every piece that we've gone through, and the timeline scrolls right through. One of the other features I kind of like is the mobile site. So if you visit on your phone, it's actually a site that's appropriate for your phone size. So it has some of the information that was kind of requested. You can also go to the full site if you want more. But again, you can see the calendars, district news, contact information all right there, very quick. The new site's very powerful, it has enhanced search features, so different keywords that you use, you can pop in and it will bring you to the various parts of the site there. Vanity URLs is a really nice way of saying, instead of saying www.page265, you can put in woodbridge.k12.ct.us/SEP, and it'll bring you right to the summer enrichment program, or /eDay, and it'll bring you right to extended day program. So I can put in short URLs that are easy to remember and know, so for either publications from the office or the district office, they can use nice short URLs that kind of make sense and can be remembered. Where we're going from here, teacher websites has been a slow start. That's going to be a main focus for next year. Adding continuous student work galleries. Our policies right now make it very easy for grades 3 through 6 to be posted information. K-2 is a little bit more restrictive. So if you notice on the website, there's much more 3-6 student artwork and student work. K-2 I have to take some more precautions on with password protections to meet board policy. And in the future, I'm going to continue to enhance and refresh informational pages as we see fit. I've been trying to work with the various departments, try to make sure things are easy to find for both us internally, but also the community. So I know I've worked with Al in the past about making sure budget things are right where they should be and the right names and those things. So I've been trying to work on a lot of stuff. So it's been a lot. In the last year, I've created about 200 web pages on the site. So there's a ton of information there. And there's new information every day, including a brand new bird camp from MAG that just went live today. So things are happening continually, and we're trying to move forward as quickly as we can.
Great.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Carl?
What percentage of the vendor capabilities are, this is very exciting.
Yeah.
What percentage of the vendor capabilities are we exploiting?
Currently using, that's hard to say. We're using a portion of every bit that we bought. There are some pieces, like I mentioned, with the student galleries that I haven't delved into fully yet. But I would say I'm using every bit of them. There's not one piece except for that student gallery piece that I haven't touched yet. I'm trying to think of anything that I haven't really used. I think we're going to continue to use that e-notify system more. We can really focus it down onto by grade level communications and things like that, where we're right now doing parent level communications and faculty communications. So I can narrow down and add some more to that, but there's nothing I don't think that we're not using yet.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. I'll take a moment to thank the board and the town too. You've helped us to have, we're on the cutting edge, I can say this easily, of good technology education at the school. That means not only equipment, but human resources wise. And our team not only helps provide embedded professional learning for our teachers in using technology for the advantage of our children, but they're also very protective. I would say we're on the cutting edge legally too, because technology is outpacing the law. And working with Marsha Moses and Bertrand Moses and our tech team, is in the forefront as far as examining policies, examining where information is stored, making sure that any app that children go on is that they're protected from it, and so on. Otherwise, it's a loose cannon out there with this here. So we're very, very pleased with that. The next part of the update has to do. I'll mention this here. We're members of again the Tri-State Consortium. For our television audience that doesn't know, it's a consortium of high-performing districts. I'd rather say districts that are really interested in improving the quality of education, always looking forward with a vision. And that there are about 45 districts in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. And the districts have the characteristics of they look within, they try to assess where they're going, try to have a vision and indicators, but also their districts serve as critical friends for each other. And there are frequent intervisitations or learning communities that come together. So it's like one big mind of people really interested in education. And I'll tie this into math. Following the board's charge, this year is a year focused on math. I'm very proud of the movement we're making. It's a work in progress, but we have two wonderful coordinators and math specialists who are working with our teachers with embedded professional learning, as well as curriculum, as well as instructional strategies and things of that sort. And they served on a visiting team to another district, another high-performing district, Weston. And they went as part of a team of, 15 people or so. And they'll tell you about that experience and tell you a little bit about how we're preparing for the tri-state visit, and then answer some of the questions that the board members mentioned at the last meeting that be answered. Okay, so Jean Mallow and Maureen Krolik.
Hi. Good to see everyone again. So yes, Maureen and I went to Weston in March. We spent 3 days there, and we were part of the visiting tri-state team, and there were about 15, 16 people from New Jersey, New York, and from Connecticut. And we had the opportunity to look at the entire district because they are a K-12 district, and so they have a campus set up with all the schools sort of up a driveway, and so that was a great opportunity for us to see another school district and to really get involved with the process. It was especially good for Maureen and for me because we got to see the whole process of Tri-State from the beginning to the end, and it was a really good opportunity for us to get prepared for our own visit in May, which was very, very helpful. The visiting team included administrators, math department heads, and teachers, and they were really amazing and interesting and devoted educators, and the conversations that we had were very rich, and it was a really great professional development opportunity for Maureen and for me to be able to talk about math a lot with, with other people who care. We did a lot while we were there, including working in pairs. I worked with a principal from a school in Hastings-on-Hudson, and we were each given a particular indicator, and we went through a lot of the materials that they had submitted, and we had to answer questions and really think about what we were looking at and what it meant. And then we shared all of our impressions with the group. And Maureen can talk a little bit more about what else happened besides the meetings that we had.
Well, we interviewed teams of teachers. We interviewed parents, administrators, and students as well. I was focused on grades 3 to 5, and Jean was focused on K to 2, which was nice because, as Jean said, it's a campus. So they have a K to 2 school, 3 to 5 school, middle school, and high school, all on one campus. So we also had the opportunity to tour various classrooms and see math classes in action. Then we would come back and we worked as a team to discuss the evidence against the backdrop of the various indicators, questions, and then we use that evidence, including the information that we gathered from the interviews, to provide scores for the approach, implementation, and results for each of the 8 indicators. And as Jean said, I ditto that this was probably one of the best professional learning opportunities that I've had. I've been involved in Tri-State for 10 years, and I've always been on the receiving end, and actually going and having that opportunity to go out to a school and know that you're helping another district was great. It was just wonderful. It was a really great learning experience, and being able to have those discussions with other people of like minds and learning more about math and the deeper understandings that we come away with, it was a great experience.
Yes, so the last day of the visit is called the consultancy, and it happened to be, well, not happened, they set it up this way. It was a PD day for all the Weston teachers. So every teacher from the district came to this consultancy, and they listened to some of the comments that we had to make. It was very preliminary, and they were able to hear the questions and the answers and some of our very preliminary recommendations. So that was really, really great. We're really excited about our visit.
Yeah.
We're getting ready. We're going to be
countdown.
We're being very, very productive and busy. There's a lot to do.
One introduction, they came back so excited, they're giving everyone homework, including me. I'm jumping around.
Everybody has a to-do list.
Well, we've involved, our committee, our Tri-State committee has teachers from every grade level. It has specialists, it has administrators. Everybody's been really, really involved. And we felt that the work that we did in Weston was going to be very helpful for Weston, which was the purpose. That's why we were there. They wanted us to take a look at their program and to give us their impressions and recommendations. And so we're really hoping that we'll get, a similar type of feedback that we can really use, that will help us as we move forward.
We're really looking forward to the visit and getting the feedback, and then, that will help us also in our plan and going forward.
Right.
So that's the visit. In terms of our math update, as Dr. Stella has said many times, that's supposed to be you.
It's okay.
Okay.
All year. It's okay. So we've been meeting regularly with teams throughout the year and really focusing on unpacking curriculum and having teachers really develop a deeper understanding of the Common Core standards throughout all the grade levels. We've had some supplemental PD also with Emily Friel, our ACES math consultant, who's worked closely with us, and it really are in focusing this year on having teachers understand not just their own grade level standards, but standards from the grade level before and possibly the grade level after. So we've been emphasizing a lot this year on problem solving and computational and fact fluency. We've done a lot of collaboration with our language arts coordinators to teach lessons in problem solving strategies with a focus on 2nd grade and 5th grade. The students, we feel, have a common language for problem-solving strategies throughout the grades. They are learning to pull apart a math problem to identify the question that's being asked and the relevant information. And they're using a variety of strategies to solve a problem, such as PQRST is very common. It's, you're picturing, you're questioning, what are your relevant facts, what's the process that you're using to solve it, and then the most important part, thinking about it, does it make sense? And even one of our language arts coordinators, Mrs. Nikuzi, even wrote a song for PQRST.
She was singing it.
So our school is alive with problem-solving strategies.
If you walked into a classroom during a problem-solving lesson, you would see students engaged in discourse with one another. Why are you solving it that way? I think it should be solved this way. Oh, we both got the same answer, but we're doing it different ways. Oh, we didn't get the same answer. Does that mean that we're both wrong? Does it mean that one of us is right? That kind of conversation. Students work on tiered problems. They may get different level problems depending on where they are and what their needs are. Some students may have multi-step problems, problems with more complicated or bigger numbers. We're really emphasizing, as Maureen said, reading the problem carefully and figuring out what to do with the numbers and not just adding them all or taking something away from something else. We're not emphasizing, if it says how many are left, you subtract. We want students to have a deeper understanding of what it means to solve a problem. It's not that a certain word tells you to do something. It's more about what's happening in the problem and what are the numbers that I care about and what am I going to do with those numbers. So that's really our focus, and we've been very strict with our students. We want them to be precise. We want them to be accurate. They need to put a label. They need to be careful, because one mistake and that's going to give them the wrong answer. We're also emphasizing perseverance and a stick-to-itiveness. When a student says, I don't get it, we don't just jump in and say, oh, well, here's how you do it. We really are trying to encourage them to figure things out and to consult each other. So this is a process that we are going to be continuing for many years, but we're noticing increased willingness and ability to persevere, even just this year. And we know that that's a very important trait that we want our students to have.
And the problem solving with perseverance, it's, when you come to a problem and you don't know how to solve it with an algorithm, per se, there's another way to solve it. Well, how would I solve it? Could I do a picture? Could I break it down a different way? Could I use a different strategy? So that's the perseverance part. It's not, I don't know how to solve that because I'm didn't learn, how to divide fractions yet. Well, is there a different way to go about doing that? So how can you solve that and persevere and think about all the things you do know that you can use in solving that problem? So it's a different way of looking at math, and we feel really good about where the growth that we've seen with that.
We're also
When did you start the perseverance? This year?
It's one of the mathematical practices
in the
Common Core standards. So I would say we probably focus more on it this year.
And you've seen kids being receptive to that?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. We've been concerned about students giving up too quickly on things.
Sure.
And what's better than when a student says, I can't do it, I don't get it, and then eventually they get it, and then you can say to them,
Right.
oh, you
Taking
said you
that
didn't get it, you could
big
do
leap.
it, you could do it.
Yeah.
That's something that they keep with them for the next time. It's like a little nugget or experience that they can say to themselves, I did get it that other time, so maybe I can get it this time. We've also been focusing on computational and fact fluency. So what does that mean? Students in grades 1, 2, and 3 are concentrating on learning their facts. First grade and second grade is addition facts, up to 20, fluently, which means within a pretty quick amount of time, using strategies if they need to, memorizing them, like things like doubles, facts to 10. Third grade, multiplication facts. We want them to have those answers at their fingertips. The computational fluency comes from that. If you don't have fact fluency, it's going to be really tough to solve extended computation problems. So
Particularly with multiplication and division. So, one of the computational fluencies is division using the standard algorithm, which is in 6th grade. Addition and subtraction of multi-digit whole numbers, 4th grade. And multiplication of multi-digit numbers in 5th grade. So if you know your facts and building that up, it's going to be, you're going to be more precise and accurate with your computational fluencies.
Can I ask a question? Is that a change from past practice as far as the age at which you're expecting various things?
Yes.
Is that beginning this year?
It's with the Common Core. Those are Common Core standards that we're following.
And are you getting any kind of feedback on sort of how that process is going
Yeah,
in the classroom teachers?
Well, we have assessments that the classroom teachers administer 3 times a year, in the fall, winter, and spring. And we have seen growth with those, administering them, and the teachers are focusing much more on them in class as the check-ins are part of their 10-minute math when children come in to the class. So there's much more of a focus on that.
As math specialists, do you guys have any feeling about how good an idea it is to be pushing it down to this age?
So it's not really
It's
pushing
not-
it down.
it's not
It's going back to what we did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of moved, at least I feel like since my first kid started kindergarten, we moved away from fact
Yes.
fluency, right?
Right.
And we did more, I don't know, we did fuzzy
What's
math
words?
stuff, or whatever. I don't know what the right word
There
was.
was
but-
a time
but-
when they felt
but we
that
felt it was
fluency
fuzzy.
wasn't as.
But I don't think,
right.
I would hate to get the word out or make people think that we're pushing
Yeah,
things down.
we're not.
The only thing I would say is that the Connecticut standards, mathematical standards, sort of broke up multiplication facts into sort of, the beginner facts for 3rd grade and then the harder facts in 4th grade. Now everything's in 3rd grade. So that is different, but they should always have been that way, in my opinion, because they're very connected. If you know your 2s, you can figure out how to do your 4s. And so I don't think that's a problem for kids, and it just gives them so much more opportunity to solve the computation later on.
If I may mention too, I've seen over the years too, well, first of all, let me mention, I see a more cohesiveness in our school. We went from a 2-school model to a 1-school. There's more of a cohesiveness from K to 6. We have our 2 full-time math people, we have our administrator, everyone's working together as far as the role. We did follow the charge of the board. There really is a focus on math this year, and we're trying to do a better job of communicating now to our parents as far as what's happening too. But as an educator, what I would say is this here. Of course we worry about developmental stages of children, but children all have their learning pathways. And my experience is if you have the right educational environment, and if things are presented the right way, children can take off in ways that surprise us. They could do much more and are eager to do things in that way. So that we see. And if I could interject this too, we're making lots of progress, but I'm sure every other tri-state district will say the same. We're not finished. There's a lot of work to be done. We're working at children at every level, because every child is unique. And we know we have one challenge is, and we've said this often, is working with children who are really off the charts, also in math. We'll work with all children, but that's another challenge we have that's easy to overlook because they could ace things very easily. But a lot of work is being done with that. And we're looking for ways to extend that beyond the school day. To institutionalize different kinds of clubs, whether it's through extended day or other means of doing it after school, where you have children with different interests can come. Those who want to really progress will be challenged more. We've had that we've had a math club with one of our parents who's a teacher, also working with Nancy White, and we've seen the results of that too. We've seen the results of taking out our world language, and with the help of parents who are teachers too, and they're following procedures, they're working in our after-school program with Chinese language courses and culture. So we're trying to enhance the school day with this here too. But just wanted to add that too.
So one of the goals of the district is, in relation to math, is to provide differentiated instruction for all levels of students.
And, we've always wanted to do that, we've always tried to do that, but we've been getting more help this year from Emily Friel, who's our ACES math consultant. She's helped teachers begin to think about planning tiered lessons, where there may be, a mini lesson that everybody hears, but then students are given activities based on where they are, and with an emphasis on enrichment. Because we want students to feel challenged, and we want them to feel that they're doing some good work. We are hoping that the Tri-State team will give us some valuable feedback for where we can go from here in terms of differentiation, and that we can use their recommendations, as we move forward in the next, several years as we continue the work with math. But it's I think probably our, we've got the problem-solving computational fact, and we really we want to be sure that we're reaching all levels of students.
But the Tri-State too, we acknowledge we're entering a new chapter. We're raising the bar. We want to do it in a way that benefits children. So what I would say to the public and to our school board, we're not looking for a report card from Tri-State. We're not looking to say you get A+, A+. In fact, I'd rather see more recommendations than I would even commendations, because we're at the beginning of stretching ourselves to a new chapter. So those recommendations will be very welcome. It wouldn't be a criticism, it would be welcome. And we'll use that as the basis of not looking backwards, but of looking forwards with this here as we move along. And again, we'll look for any opportunity of tapping the parent community, our general community. We have to, the time is finite. There's so many things you could do in the day. If there are opportunities after school or other types of things, we're going to be looking in those directions too. But if there are any other questions, otherwise we'll just thank the presenters.
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
I want to tip my hat to the teaching staff and to the administrators, because we're a small school district. We don't have a large central office with curriculum directors and things of that sort. There are committees that we have teachers on those committees and administrators. And a lot of the same people are serving on a number of different committees because we have a limited number of people too. Teachers don't get paid for it, working after school, but they give generously of their time. One of those committees is the School Climate Committee. It's a very active committee. Social emotional development of our children is very, very important to us. Sheila has been, Haverkamp has been our chair of that committee, and every school must have, should have, it's a good thing to have, a school climate plan, and we take it very seriously. And Sheila's going to be talking about the update on that, which we're going to ask the board to approve.
Good evening. So the last time I was here, I gave you a short introduction, talked more about social emotional development, but a short introduction to the fact that the plan, we were required to revise it, required to add some things by state statute, and also to broaden the scope of the plan to include what's really happening here, not just the legalese of bullying and making sure that we're taking care of that, but what else are we doing in a broader sense to consider our culture and our climate here and how that benefits students, adults, families. So I did mention the fact that teen dating violence was a piece that I had to include, and if you looked at the plan, I know it's in your packet, you probably saw it way too many times, but I did check with the State Department to make sure, and I think I told you that last month, that piece does need to be in. That said, what we would do here is what we do always, which is consider the developmentally appropriate way to consider. Are we going to start teaching a unit on teen dating violence? No. Are we going to make sure that we continue the way we always have to encourage and to support our students in having the relationships that are respectful and appropriate across friendships, whether they be dating friendships later on in life? So that's building the foundation for hopefully what they'll bring to their social lives as they get older. So I'd like to put it in that context so that we don't dwell on that piece. We're still going to do everything in a developmentally appropriate way. What I say to a first grader is still very different from what I say to a fifth or sixth grader. And I have been known to bring out the definition of harassment and show a student, this is what it is, and this is what my job is. And the older students can really understand that, but I would never approach it that way with a younger child. And I think every teacher in this building would tell you the same thing. In putting this together, what was most fun was the last couple pages about what we really do here to promote a safe climate. So if you look at the last, I think it's about 4 pages, I'm sure there's probably things I didn't even put in this packet, but it was astounding. And as a committee, and we'll be sharing this with your approval, with obviously with the entire staff, to have pages and pages of different activities that are building climate, that are bringing children in, that are giving them opportunities to reach out to their community, to reach out to each other, what's happening with student council, what's happening with stewards, what's happening all across the building. It was just awesome to put that list together and see it in a whole swoop. We did put the tiers of intervention for behavioral supports, and our new initiatives is the last page, should be page 31 of the plan, and continuing Nancy's awesome beginning work in the cafeteria. She's the work in the cafeteria, the wellness committee. I'm sure lots of different, but it's a different atmosphere to continue that. And the next piece, which we knew from every survey we've done, to take a look at how we can make the bus a peaceful experience for students. So I think we have a great idea there, and that sort of committee that would be working on that. Sort of an offshoot, because it needs to be a smaller group. The collaboration between the adults on the Safe School Climate Committee and the Student Council has been awesome. And I said to to Teresa and people that are working with the Student Council, Spirit Day, you give it to the students, and all of a sudden, it's a real Spirit Day. On other Spirits Day, sometimes it's just us in our sweatshirts. And they're like, kids, come on, it's yours too. But when the children were the people behind it, it really became a whole school Spirit Day. So I think that shows you the power of their connections with each other. We're going to continue with professional development to make sure that everyone has a growing and building and understanding of social emotional development. So we have good plans for the future as well. So I hope for your support, and I'd love to send it off to State Department. Check my box.
Does anybody have, Carl?
Move that we approve the revised Safe School Climate Plan for submission to the Connecticut State Department of Education.
Second. Okay, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, all those in favor? Great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And just a quick update on the survey. School climate survey is still out. We extended it a little bit longer. Currently, participation from students is 98%. That's because we brought them to it.
Because you come here. Parents not so good, I'm guessing.
The staff, 90%, which I think is great. Parents were at 17%, and we have tried very hard to get the word out. We're gonna send one more. I'd like to tip it over the 20% at least. I was hoping for 30 or 40, I told Dr. Stella. So if you have any way to help us, it's going to be open.
All right, I'll do it. I haven't done it
That might put me over the edge.
Way to Pass right up, Matt.
It's a little bit of a time commitment, but parent input is so important to us. So if anybody's listening, or if you have friends, we'll be sending out, Gina's going to send out another blast.
Tomorrow,
E-Notify.
Mr. Crawford, I'll be sending that out tomorrow.
And the link is right there, so when you get the email, you just click on the link and it takes you right to the survey. It takes a few minutes, but it's hopefully worth your time. It will help us a lot.
Okay. I just wanted to say before you sit down, it is so good when when you said, I was so excited when I saw what we're doing and what we're going to do. I mean, just the enthusiasm from everybody who spoke tonight. I mean, you really can hear it in your voices. And that's, people who are brand new, people who have been here a long time, it feels so good to hear that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're still up, Dr. Stella.
Yeah, I've been bragging about this so much.
Oh, I forgot one thing.
Oh, wait, she forgot one thing.
That's my line.
I just have to tell you that Larry Hurwitz in the tech department was such a huge help with the survey with the students. I couldn't have gotten any of this accomplished without his help, and I just wanted to make sure I let you know that. Not only did he help me schedule and figure it out so that the older students took it on their iPads, so they could do it in their classrooms. The younger students came into the tech lab to do it. Third graders had it read to them. Fourth graders, you can answer questions and help them with words if they needed it, that kind of thing. But Larry went to every classroom in third grade and maybe fourth grade, but I know definitely third grade, and spoke to each class before they came to the tech center to make sure they understood what a survey was and what it meant. And we had given teachers materials to use to give examples of what does it mean to say, I agree, or but the tech department was very, very helpful. They gave up their time. They really helped throughout the whole process, and Larry was really big help.
Tech team.
James, what do we say? It's a team like no other. Okay, our summer school, we're slated to go over to Amity for a 4-week period of time, starting on June 29th, ending on the 24th. We had to condense it a little bit to 4 weeks because there's a lot happening at Amity too. We'll have vibrant programs there offering to parents. We also have Ezra Academy, staff there has opened their arms to us, and we'll have our special ed program there also. So we'll be working on that. The school will be a construction zone during the summer. What else can I say? I just want to mention again, the Wizard of Oz was just outstanding. Standing room only. Mrs. Prisco was there. Members of our staff were there. Interns were there. Parents, grandparents. Standing room only. The actors, actresses were phenomenal. Every single one of them. Our extended day is doing well, and we're using it as a conduit for all kinds of additional activities. There's over 200 children are attending extended day on an average each day. And again, it's like a wonderful tree with branches that you never know where the new branch is coming out. The talk right now is, the anticipation is we hope to have 2 plays next year, maybe one concentrating with the lower grades and one with the upper grades too. And anything we could do in other ways to promote drama too as one of the arts in the school we would like to do also. That's our overall report.
Okay, great, thank you. Facilities?
Let's see, we met on April 2nd. Seems like a really long time ago.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, thank you.
We got an update on the building project, which was mostly of work that was going to be done over break, which is now done, so I won't linger any further on that subject. We've got a Tools for School update, that the inspections have been completed and the month of April is being used to review the data. We also got an update on the sustainability initiatives. We talked a little bit about the sustainability initiatives that we've discussed in the cafeteria task force that you will hear more about at the May meeting. And our next meeting is May 7th.
And if anybody, anybody's always welcome. It's 7:30, the first Thursday of the month, in South Dr. Stoll's office.
Yes, in the
Conference.
the district conference room, right?
Okay. Building update, I think you gave us a summary of what happened on the break.
Yeah, at this point, if there's any change, we'll come back to you. We seem to be on schedule as far as hoping to have the project completed by December of 2015. But again, a lot of work has to be done during the summer. That's why it'll be a complete construction zone. No programs here. Pool will be closed, and there'll be a lot of work being done.
Finance. I don't know if you wanted to make any comments about the list. Oh, well then, that'll be harder. I think, I'm trying to think of anything.
It's a good interchange of ideas.
That's right. Chris was there. He was assisting. All right. Cave, Lisa.
Cave. I went to Cave Day on the Hill in March up in Hartford, and we heard from a number of the legislators who are involved in making decisions about education policy and finance. And there's sort of a recurring theme of awareness and sensitivity to the burdens, particularly of assessment placed upon schools. Now, Beth Bai spoke particularly eloquently about feeling chastised by sort of not letting kids be kids and the need to make sure there's enough time a day for kids to be learning all these other skills, and to make sure that we're using data for limited purposes and for good purposes. Make sure there's a reason for all of the assessments that we do. Whether any of it translates into any change at the state level, we'll see. But it was nice to hear. Hartford's in a great place.
Upcoming meetings next month is World Language Update and the Healthy Food. So I think the Healthy Food we have, board members on, so we'll make sure we get.
Yeah, it's been a very active committee. I mean, the ideas that have been flowing have been really good ones, so we'll see if we can put together a report, but it'll be an ongoing work too, that will be follow up in the coming year, as well as setting the stage for next year too.
Did anybody have anything that they specifically, want included in the update? I mean, it's really what you've been talking about and kind of what the plans are. Okay, all right.
Now, for world language, usually our assessments are done at the end of the year, so I mean, we will not be in a position to present anything there. Do you want to reschedule the world language to another time when we can present some data, or do you want just an overview of what's been happening with it, or what is the board looking for? We presented a number of times on the program, so I don't know if there's anything specific that...
Does anybody have any?
Wait for the data.
Wait for the data? Okay, raise your hand if you're surprised Carl said that. Okay, so we can, to June, though? I'm trying to think of what else we had.
Well, the data is...
Oh, July, really?
It could be... I'll have to keep in touch with the board.
Okay.
Because it could be July, but I don't know if teachers are on vacation then, so you may want to... I'll keep in touch with you and the board and see what an appropriate time is.
One of the agenda items for the world language was you were talking about trying to expand it to second grade, which didn't have as much language as the other classes.
I could give an update on that. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, Emily, if I'm understanding correctly. I said I would come and talk about why we can't, whether we should increase the number of teachers and why we haven't put it in our budget. Is that what you're referring to? Or?
I think initially at the beginning of the year, I was more interested in wondering what could be done this school year, but you had said that it was slated for next school year that the second graders would have that expansion.
Yes.
So I guess an update on that would be good.
Okay.
To kind of knowing what the projected language would be.
What I could do with that is give a short update, because there'll be more work that's going to be done and also in June, planning the number of classes and our schedules and things like that. So it'll be a continual dialogue with that. But I'll hit on that. I think that's a good time to do that.
The other thing that would be helpful with the new report card, we've got a different, different kinds of information going to parents on, in language and math and things like that.
Right.
How the world languages report to parents now, and what we're doing the same or different, because it's a different, different thing, obviously. So how that information's getting to parents.
How world language is reported and update on scheduling
And then-
process.
Speaking of the report cards, is there going to be any process now that parents have gotten report cards and had conferences with teachers where they presumably might have discussed those report cards? Is there any process that, or formal or informal, that the school has in place to hear feedback about how that went?
Informally, I've had a few parents just contact me directly.
Okay.
And it's been just a few, quite frankly, and some really positive feedback and some questions. I think parents got a lot of questions answered during conferences, maybe about things that they weren't sure about, but certainly reach out and then we'll talk about if there's a way that we should formally we can talk about a way whether we should formally ask for that kind of
And
feedback.
the report card committee is ongoing as well, is it? So, I mean,
We're still working.
working with.
I think it might be good to try to convene some kind of parent feedback. I know personally I found a disconnect between, with two different teachers and two different kids, and what those how I interpreted what I was reading and what those teachers interpreted. Just on a personal note, I don't think it's a small snapshot, but it might be helpful to hear.
Yeah, we'll take a good look at that. We're tight with schedule, I have to say this year. I'll tie it in some other points. We're interviewing actively right now for the assistant principal on the level 1. We have 10 candidates, a variety of different districts. As always, our teachers have stepped forward no matter what the workload is. We have a very good representative committee for that. We hope to be starting the special education director's interview process in probably a week or two. And then there'll be a step 2, and I'm looking for ways of involving the board in a different way too, to see who our candidates are also. But I like a little more thinking time as we look at our people too. But we're doing a lot of vetting, and we want to make a good, careful choice of whoever comes on, and we want our staff and our parent community and the board to feel comfortable with it too. It's very, very important that we bring the right people on board. We're a small team, so we're putting a lot of time into that. And we also are actively involved with negotiations with the administrators union, and we're starting with the teachers union, and we have CILU. So we have a lot of right now we're looking at all kinds of nights that are booked.
So maybe something that would be helpful, Gina, is if you could just think about when there might be, I don't know if you're thinking about it in terms of another, academy where you have parents in. I mean, we've got a lot of survey stuff out there, so it's hard to maybe do that, or maybe get some feedback from staff as to like at conferences, was there a lot of disconnect? Parents were confused. What would be helpful, kind of across the board? So maybe you could think about it and just give us an idea.
Absolutely.
We're not saying you have to come back
Absolutely.
next month with like a date for a parent feedback. So maybe think about what makes sense.
As Carrie said, there has to be, and Emily also, it has to be ongoing kind of communication
I'm
and
just
feedback.
curious
too.
after this first round of having gotten them, and how, since they're supposed to be a tool for parents, really, primarily, I think that it's interesting. It would be interesting to hear if they work as an effective tool.
Very good. Thank you.
Alrighty, so new business, act on certified staff leave of absence request. Dr. Stella, if you want to.
Leave of absence, we have a wonderful educator, Nicole Chick, who asked for a leave of absence. This would be the last year that I would recommend one. Nicole has stayed in touch with the school. She's gone for another advanced degree too, and has done had connections with the school during her time. And she's waiting for another year. So I would recommend
I move that we grant a leave of absence for the 2015-2016 school year to Nicole Chick.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, and you have another one, Dr. Stella?
Yeah, Dr. Marcy Schleppian has given 10 faithful, dedicated years of service to the school as a part-time, half-time art teacher. And she's done wonderful work. She's ready for another chapter in life, and so she's decided to retire. And so we accept her retirement with regrets and we present it to the board.
I move that we accept the retirement of Dr. Slepkin effective June 30th, 2015 with regret. Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, with regret, absolutely. Okay, I believe that is it. We just need to move to adjourn.
Move it.
Second, all those in favor? Okay. Nobody's ever not in favor of this one, yes, yeah. Okay, thank you very